You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Ken asked a question. He says, please ask Habib whether he would have accepted Mohammed's message if it had come from a religious leader which sought to support Akufo-Addo. Then there's a couple of messages I'm sharing with you. Frank Anderson says, we have gone beyond sacking Oforiatta. The president and the entire economic management team are complicit. Surprisingly, not a single one of them tendered their resignation on principle. Those MPs have no credibility, hence the unsurprising U-turn. They have been in parliament and applauded Oforiatta when he was churning out false figures. Sadly, if the president resigns per our constitution, Bawumia will finish the unexpired term. We are stuck. Interesting there. Kwame says that it took Zambia 2 years to negotiate an IMF deal. Now that it has emerged that the economic data Ghana presented to the fund was inaccurate, should Ghana's negotiations go on indefinitely? The NPP MP saying Ken will be at post. So quite a number of interesting questions coming in. Musa says the president's response to the 80 MPs who called for the resignation of his cousin is unacceptable. So there is no competent person in the NPP to continue IMF negotiations. The logic of President Akufo-Addo is that we should wait till Ghana is totally collapsed before something drastically is done. Well, we cannot say that for sure. We wait to hear him tomorrow and what he has to say. All right, so we'll continue here, and then I'll read some of your messages later. The president is speaking tomorrow. What are the expectations of Ghanaians? And that should be voiced through you who are here in the studio and through Zoom speaking to the country. What are the people's expectations of what the president is going to be talking about? Remember that he has spent 3 days meeting various stakeholders, including the Trades Union Congress, including forex traders, market women, bankers, and various other groups. What is he going to be saying tomorrow? What should he be saying that should make any difference? He has met with the Association of Ghana Industries, Ghana Association of Banks, Transport Operators, Forex Bureau, Association of Ghana Market Women, the Ghana Employers Association, Private Enterprise Federation, TUC, among others. Let me begin with the TUC. And as you know, Dr. Kwabena Otoo is with us. Yes, let's hear you, Doc.
Thank you. For us, before our meeting with the president, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Before our meeting with the president, I think on Tuesday, we had the opportunity, we sponsored a meeting between the leadership of the TUC, the Employers Association, AGI, Chamber of Commerce, and a host of other employers and industrial players. And the topic was the economy and the way it's been unfolding. So we had a good platform to share perspectives and to also put forward what we think the president ought to be doing, the government ought to be doing at this point. I mean, it is clear to us that the situation is critical. And to give you how critical it is, if you read the Bank of Ghana report, and I've seen some of the graphs you have done, the Bank of Ghana says that we have a net international reserve of about 6.6 billion, enough to cover 2.9 months of import. But the net reserve, which is unencumbered funds, minus petroleum funds, these are funds that are readily available, is just about 2.9 billion, which is barely enough to cover 1 month import cover. So the situation is critical, and that is what is putting pressure on the city. And the Bank of Ghana report also indicates, for example, that the massive deficit of about 41 billion Ghana cedis, because we are shut out of the international market, we are not able to borrow externally, so we are borrowing internally. Borrowing internally means exactly that the Bank of Ghana is picking up a lot of the tab and monetizing the debt, the deficit, which also actually means that we are printing money, and that feeds into rising inflation and devaluing the currency. So the situation is critical. And we don't know exactly what will happen in the next few days. So government, and in this case the president, must on Sunday provide adequate information to the Ghanaian public. That will quell the speculation, which is partly also to blame for. Of course, the underlying fundamentals are not good. The speculation then feeds on those underlying bad fundamentals. And then we are seeing all this devaluation of the city with rising inflation and its impact on the young people, the working people of this country. So some clarity in terms of what is actually going on will be important for us going forward. But it is clear that going forward, more sacrifices will have to be made by the population if you are to save this economy from collapsing. But that sacrifice, in our view, ought to come or ought to begin with government. So we expect the president to announce very drastic measures that actually begins with the government led by Nana Akufo-Addo. And to be straightforward, we think that we need a radical downsizing of government. We need to restructure the ministerial portfolio. So you have ministries that have 3 deputies. You need to cut it to 1, to be specific. You have state-owned agencies that are actually ramping up salaries and allowances and perks and everything, but they're also running huge losses that have to be picked up by the state. We need to do something about it. Unfortunately, some of these agencies have, 3 deputies. Why should that be the case? We should cut it to 1. And we should also announce drastic measures that let the population know that the government and its functionaries are actually living the crisis the way the ordinary Ghanaian is living it. I mean, the president should tell us that he has installed meters, prepaid meters in the residences of every minister. They should also pay for the utility price increases. They should pay for their water. And some of these things should be clear, should be demonstrably clear to Ghanaians. That is the only way you can rally the population around and say that, hey, we are in a difficult time and we need to be doing what we have to do to save this country. And if the president fails to announce some of these clear, demonstrable measures and comes with half-hearted, unclear slogans, there's no way the population will be willing to go along with the difficult choices that this country have to make. But also, this shouldn't be the last address. The situation is unfolding. New things are coming, new measures are coming. So just like the fellow Ghanaians under COVID, we expect the president and his ministers to be talking more. But, I mean, let me emphasize this. The reshuffle bit is important. The president, like every employer, will want to repose confidence in his workers. It is good. We are a labor union and we want to protect the people you unionize. But the president should know that all those talking about reshuffle, I mean, they work with the ministers. His 5 best ministers, people work with them. They know them on a constant basis in the ministries. They know them. His confidence is not as high as the confidence of the people who have been working with with those ministers. And it is important that, just like Ara mentioned, in a democracy, the fundamental letter, the values, is the majoritarian rule. What are the majority of the people saying? And the president must have the intelligence to be able to hear what the majority of the people are saying. On the forex thing, I think we need drastic measures. I mean, we introduced the forex exchange, the forex bureaus for a purpose. We need to assess whether that purpose has been met. You now have a situation where people are standing in front of the airport police station and other police stations trading dollars and cedis as if they are kelewole. And the police look on. Nobody does anything to. You now have a situation in this country where we say we have an alternative central bank at Cowley. So if you want to transfer $1 million and you don't have the papers to be able to do that transfer, go to Cowley. They will transfer it for you. And there's evidence, or at least growing suspicion that, Cowley is very close to the Bank of Ghana. There's an active collaboration between the two, the alternative central bank and the real central bank. These are the things our intelligence system must pick up and be able to address. We need long-term, medium to long-term things. We need to address our trade policy. Okay. That has encouraged import of everything. And this country one of our top 10 imports is the thing we call the Yamadian, intestines, carrying dollars to go and buy intestines. We need to do all of it. We need to deal with all of these things. But we must also support domestic industry. And here the politics is important. In 2011, I read something by Dr. Kwesi that a government that says that we are building private sector. Parties come into government, and the private sector they are building is the private sector of their own party people. Whether competent, whether they are really rare industrialists, we do not know. So every other party, business person will have to go into abeyance. We promote new entrepreneurs.
And the private sector sometimes is also a private sector of importers. And that's also killing us.
Producers.
We say we are doing a school feeding program, and the people should eat and buy, produce from the local environment to use. Then we quickly get, party people who are importers, and they go to China and bring some stuff. Then they come and replace the eggs that the kids are supposed to be taking because somebody will make profit.